Hello, welcome to Scrappy Loom Sewing. I'm JC Jewellen, and today I'm going to be sharing a quilt block that is called Majestic Mountains or Delectable Mountains. It goes by both names. It's a very easy block to put together, goes to get together quickly, and it creates a very impactful design, and it's a very versatile design. You can twist and turn it and make a lot of different designs with it, and that's what's really cool about it. So I'm going to show you first the quilt top that I have put together. My sister has already put her claims on this one. So once I am done with it, I'm going to give it to her for part of her birthday gift. So this is what it looks like. And it went together so fast. So now I'm going to put my camera up here so I can free my hands, and then I'll get started. Okay. So this is the design we're working with. This is what's on my wall. There we go. And you can put it across your quilt this way for a design, or you can turn it vertical for a design, which changes it a little bit just in doing that. And here I've got some small sample blocks just to show you how the design is so changeable. It's really cool. The one on my wall, you just take, this is the block. This is the finished block. And this is the mirror image of the block. Put these two together and you get your mountains. So the one I have on the wall is two sets of the mirror image blocks. One up top and one below. That's how you get that one. But you can also take this and run it across the quilt like this. Oh, wrong way. And then take them again and just offset it a little bit. And watch the design change. And you get this zigzaggy design, which is also cool. Then you can take it and you can do like this. Oops. And you get a design that reminds me of an airplane or a bird. Where's my other one? There we go. And there's a whole nother design. You can flip this back and forth either way, or you can put them this way. Have them going one left and right. You can run one block the same way. Oops, where's that? There we go. Boom. There's a whole nother design. I don't know what to do that. You do that all the way across the quilt, or do the other version the other way. Or you can flip them back and forth. Opposite on the rows. So there's just a million things you can do with it. I mean, there's plenty more. You just have to take time to play around with it and see all the things that you can come up with. But that is what makes this block really, really neat. Similar, reminds me kind of the log cabin. The log cabins you can do that with. But this goes together so fast, way faster than the log cabin goes together. So, to get started, you need 2 high contrast fabrics. And to show the example, I will be working with this vibrant blue and this real cute kind of country daisy print, because they're really contrasting. The design will be very evident. And to get started, what you'll do is you'll cut a square out of each piece of fabric and put them right sides together. And you will draw a line from one diagonal corner to the other. And then you'll stitch on a 1/4 inch on each side of that drawn line. And to come up with the square size, this one I have on the wall was using a 10-inch square, and then I cut 2.5-inch strips. You end up dividing this square into 4 equal parts. I mean, you end up dividing your blocks into 4 equal parts, and then you shift them around. That's how you get the Delectable Mountains design. So what I started with is a block that is 1 inch larger than the block I'm going to cut up. And because I do that because some of it gets taken up in the seam, and then when you open it up, well, let me go ahead and show you first. So once you've drawn your 2 lines, you will take your ruler, and when you've drawn your center line, and then you've sewn 2 on each side of that line, 1/4 inch away from the line. Then you'll take your ruler and run it from corner to corner. And cut, which gives you 2 squares. You open it up and you will press the seam to the dark side. So now this block's about a 1/2 inch smaller than what I started with. And then I will cut these bunny ears off, or dog ears, whatever you want to call them. I call them dog ears usually, or bunny ears. But anyway, you cut those off. And then you have got you in this case, a 10.5-inch square. Yeah, started out with 11 inches. Now I'm down to 10.5 inches because the seams took up part of that fabric. So what I would do next is square this up. And for me, I went with a 10-inch square. And what you want to be careful with when you pick the size of your block is your square is that you want to make sure that it is easily divided into 4 sections. So I went with 10 because that's easily divided into 2.5-inch strips. You could go with 8. That's easily divided into 2-inch strips. You could go with 6. That's easily divided into 1.5-inch squares. That makes a much smaller block. That's what this was. So if I'm going to go with the 6-inch block that I cut, I'm going to start with the 7-inch square. And then I'll cut that squared block up into the 6-inch squared block up into 1.5-inch strips. But on my quilt on the wall, I started with an 11-inch block, and I cut it down to a 10-inch block once I have pressed it open. So then what I do to square it up is I use my grid and my ruler. So what I'll do is I match up my seam. First of all, I press it so it's nice and neat. And then I put my center seam, my diagonal seam, I line it up with the corner of my grid. And then I take my ruler and I will cut this down to make sure it's straight. Use my lines on my grid. Make sure that both of these diagonals are right in the center of that block, of that square on my grid, lined up with these dots. And then I just take my ruler and I cut it off at 10 inches. I know this is 10 inches here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So I'll cut that off there. This is my 10-inch mark down here. I'll cut that there. Now I've got me a 10-inch square. So now I would cut this up into 2.5-inch strips. Before I do, I want to show you something though. Now if I'm going to cut this one this way, I want to turn this one a quarter turn. Before I cut it to get my mirror image. So then I would take this here and I will cut 2.5-inch strips. I'm using my ruler and my grid. And then I do the same thing over here. And there I've got my 4 strips. Then you just take this, so say this is 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to make this 4, 3, 2, and 1. And you sew that together. Once you sew it together, you get this square here. This design here, it's actually rectangular. But you get this here and you do the mirror image. And once you do your mirror image, you end up with 2 blocks like this. You put these blocks together and create your design. But you see how easy that is? You just take these strips. Hardest part is squaring up the square, actually. But you just take your strips. And you twist them around. 1, 2, 3, and 4. So I'll take it to the sewing machine. I'll stitch these 2 together, and then I'll stitch these 2 together. Then I'll take these 2 halves and stitch them together. That's simple. So again, that is the Majestic Mountain block or the Delectable Mountain block. And look how pretty that is. I mean, and it came together so fast. I can't even tell you how fast that came together. I'll make this again, but I'll make the other design next time. The zigzag design. But I love it. It's going to be real pretty once it's quilted. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed that. And if you have any questions or comments, please put them below in the comments below. And please don't forget to subscribe. And I hope you enjoyed it. God bless you. See you next time. Bye-bye.